West Virginia State Senator Chris Rose, who joins us live right now on Right Side Broadcasting Network, hopefully here in programming as well, as we talk about West Virginia and talk about the fact that 650 illegals have been detained by ICE. I just want to get your reaction to that.
No, absolutely. Thank you for having me back on. And this is actually a very good story to talk about to debunk the narrative that you're seeing in Minnesota. So we had 650 illegal immigrants rounded up in the state of West Virginia without any type of incident or protest, because here in West Virginia, we respect law and order. We respect the rule of law. We support this president and wanting to make sure that the immigrants that come into our nation are here legally. And so there was no incident. Our local law enforcement actually coordinates and helps ICE and aids ICE in these arrests. So you're seeing a strong contrast from what you're seeing in Minnesota, where you have a governor, you have mayors, you have a state legislature that supports the rule of law, supports President Trump, the greatest president of our lifetime, as opposed to you see in Minnesota with Tim Walz and the mayor of Minnesota, who are actually calling for this dissension. They're calling for people to push back and disobey. And that's the strong contrast you're seeing, because right here in almost heaven, West Virginia, we've seen 650 illegal immigrants rounded up without incident, and that's exactly how this is supposed to go.
And there's nothing more to say. I don't think we need to ask any more questions. I mean, because that's exactly a point that I wasn't thinking of. I just saw the number. I saw 650 illegal aliens detained by ICE in West Virginia. I said, well, I know some people in West Virginia. I know the state senator, Chris Rose. I know Representative Riley Moore, the congressman there. But also didn't think about that specific detail. You're right. There was no news out of Charleston or Huntington, West Virginia, or Wheeling, West Virginia, or other towns throughout that great state. You're telling me that nothing happened there when it comes to a protest, not even a protest, people getting in the way of federal law enforcement.
No, that's exactly right. And, we have a governor, we have local law enforcement, we have buy-in all around our state that, we don't want these people here illegally. We want to have, a border. We want to have border security for our national security, control, know who's coming into our communities and into our country. And that's why our governor did an executive order encouraging local law enforcement and getting them to, to work with ICE to execute, getting rid of these illegal immigrants out of our communities and out of our state. And that's why as a state legislature, we're working on codifying that executive order. That way, with future governors down the road, this will continue to be a good practice, because you just saw it firsthand how this is working in West Virginia. It can be a model for the rest of the states around the country, that you have ICE come in, your local law enforcement works with them, not against them, like you're seeing in Minnesota through the orders of the governor in that state. And you can see that they safely remove these illegals out of our communities. And that's exactly what Trump wanted to do. It's what he ran on. This is exactly what the American people voted for. And you're seeing it right here firsthand in West Virginia.
I think West Virginia and Oklahoma right now, I mean, at the end of the day, in 2024, every county voted red, voted for President Trump. Literally every county in West Virginia and in Oklahoma. That didn't happen in any other state. So that's pretty powerful to see that. I wonder if whether it's tourism or people moving into West Virginia or Oklahoma, because at the end of the day, we want people that believe in what we believe in, which is the common sense thread that we all sense here in America, God, family, country, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's the foundation of the creation of this country. It's the foundation of our way of life here, and we have to preserve it each and every way that we can. And we are starting to see that net flow of people into West Virginia. And so is Oklahoma. These two states are a beacon of freedom that the rest of the country is looking to right now. And that's why you're starting to see a more net inflow coming into West Virginia than people leaving. And we're one of the very few states that's seeing that. I mean, Tennessee and Florida also, as conservative, freedom-loving states, see that as well. But that's new for West Virginia, because up to 10 years ago, the Democrats had a supermajority in this state. And it took, the last 10 years to get a supermajority now of Republicans. And now, more importantly, getting more MAGA Republicans elected is the key now, that we have this majority. And you're starting to see people come here. It started with COVID when, you had New York and New Jersey and those type of states in their, tyranny lockdowns. People sought the freedom that we have here in almost heaven, West Virginia. And we're continuing to build that momentum to where one of these days we're going to be competing on it. And it's going to be very soon. We're going to be competing on a national stage with Florida, Tennessee, and states like that.
It would be great to see it. I mean, more the merrier when it comes to freedom. I mean, come on now. And then you think about New Jersey and New York, the people that are patriots, that don't want to bow to the system that says you have to do such and such thing, 6 feet apart, that kind of thing. Wear the mask. There's a lot of great people in New Jersey and New York. You think about upstate New York. You think about, Long Island. And there are various people in the Bronx that when we saw President Trump do a campaign speech there, people come out in droves because they don't want to be part of a system that is communist. Some do, of course, in New York, as you saw what just happened with the election there. But let's get back to what we spoke about last week, because I think it's a key point. The update from the state of Virginia, because we know that Virginia is going way left with the governor there. Some of the counties, do you know specifically which counties would like to say, you know what, maybe I'll go over to West Virginia and be a part of that state instead?
So we have interest from about 30 counties, which would probably be a little bit too long to name them all from Virginia, and about 3 in Maryland. But as far as two of them,
you have 30 counties from Virginia?
that is correct. So there are 30 counties that we have seen overwhelmingly support from either constituents, former representatives, like, former Congressman Bob Good supports this movement, by the way, who, was in Congress. He was in the Freedom Caucus. And, we have people like that are looking at this, what we call the appeal to heaven. And we got 2 counties in particular that are working to try to get this on the ballot in the near future. They're just waiting for this legislature to move in West Virginia. And I know the governor, of West Virginia come out and encourage the Virginians to hurry up and move over here. And he's also not opposed to the bill idea that we've talked about last week with letting the counties vote to join us. And the Senate president supports this bill as well. So this bill is going to get movement. A single reference to judiciary in the West Virginia State Senate. Hopefully the House single references as well and gives it to the governor. Let's give them the opportunity to vote with their feet, vote to move their counties over here for freedom. But we have 2 counties in particular that are really strongly getting grassroots effort to get this on the ballot in their counties, which is Tazewell County, Virginia, and Bland County, Virginia, are wanting to be the first 2 counties to take a crack at this. It's very exciting for me because someone who originally grew up in southern West Virginia in McDowell County, I traveled in those counties a lot. I know that area of the state of Virginia very well because, we were neighboring states and you travel over there to shop some. So I know those counties very well. I know people in those counties, and West Virginia is more and ready than welcome them back home to almost heaven, West Virginia.
Amen. West Virginia State Senator Chris Rose, I assume people could follow you on X or Truth Social?
Absolutely. You can follow me on X, Truth Social, or Facebook at Chris Rose WV.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir, again, for joining us.
Thank you. A pleasure as always.